वासुदेवाय ज्ञानञ्जलशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति शान्तिं अन्यं श्रीयुक्तपादकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादं सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च हरे कृष्ण।
I think Prabhu's internet got cut. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashattaya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaitat Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol. Okay. So today we continue from, is this still chapter 6? Maybe chapter 6, text 15. Yes, I think so. Sankhya Yoga. Haribol. Text number 15. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogini yatamanashaha shantim nirvana paramam matsam adigachati. Yunjan, practicing like this, evam, as mentioned above, sada, constantly, atmanam, body, mind, and soul, yogi, the mystic transcendentalist, niyata, manasaha, regulated mind, shantim, peace, nirvana, paramam, cessation of material existence, matsamstam, in the spiritual sky, the kingdom of God, abhigachati, thus attain. Translation. Thus practicing control of the body and mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. Purport. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi according to Bhagavad Gita, nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, nor electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated. Like the sun in the material sky, the kingdom of God is everywhere. But in the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Paramdhama, or superior abodes. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein, Machitta Matpara Matstanam, by the Lord himself, can attain real peace and ultimately reaches supreme abode, the Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated, Goloka eva nivasyat akhilatma bhuta, that the Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well, by dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky or enter into the eternal abode, Vaikuntha Loka, Goloka Vrindavan of the Lord, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo. In the Vedas also we learn Tam Eva Viditvat Viditvatim Mrityumeti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Person of Godhead Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Hare Krishna. Okay, who wants the next text?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I will try.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Yes, Prabhu. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Nat Natyasnatastu yogoshti nachai kantam anasnataha nachati swapna shilasya jaglato naiva chaljuna. Na, never. Ati, too much. Asnataha, one who eats so. Two, but yogaha, linking with the supreme. Asti, there is. Na, no. Cha, also. Ikantam, very low. Anasnataha, abstaining from eating. Na, nor. Cha, also. Ati, too much. Swapna, shilasya, of one who sleep too much. Jagla, taha, or one who keeps night watch too much. Na, not. Ever, ever. Cha and Arjuna, O Arjuna. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleep too much or does not sleep enough. Purport. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those who in the mode of ignorance, therefore those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna, will suffer sinful reaction because of eating only polluted things. Bunjate te twagyam papa ye pachanti ata kalatnat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sins and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eats only the remnant of foodstuff offered by to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice, nor can one who artificially abstain from eating manufacturing his own personal progress of fasting. Practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. It does not fast or eat more than is required, and it is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga.
Haribol, thank you.
Yuk,
You can read next one also.
Alibo. Thank you, Bob. Please bear with my English. I'm not so
Yes, it's really good.
good. Yuk,
It's good, Prabhu.
thank you, thank you. Yuktaha la vihalasya yukta chetasya kalmasu yukta svapna vabodasya yogo bhavati dukkha yukta regulated ahala eating vihalasya recreation yukta regulated chetasya one who works for maintenance kalmasu in discharging duties, yukta regulated, svapna avabhuktasya regulated sleep and wakefulness, yogaha practice of yoga, bhavati becomes, dukkha diminishing pains. Translation: He who is temperate in his habits and of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Purport: Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered, according to the Bhagavad Gita 9.2026, vegetables, flour, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumptions, or which is not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duty in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping in is considered a great loss. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His idea is, in this respect, is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasad, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his speed 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person know, does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest. And thus his work is always regulated and he is attained by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Halibut. Jai Shri
Well,
Prabhupada.
thank you so much, Prabhu. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, who wants to read next one?
I can read.
Very good, Prabhu. Okay, you can read,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Jada viniyatam chittam atmanyeva vatistate ishvra sarva kame yo yukta ityuchyate tada. Jada when viniyatam, particularly chittam, the mind and its activity, atman, the transcendent, eva, certainly, avatishtate, become situated, nispri, devoid of sarva, all kinds of kametya, material desires, yukta, well situated in yoga. Iti thus uchyate is said to be tada at that time. Translation: in the yogi, by practice of yoga, this disciplines his mental activities and become situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. He is said to have attained yoga. Purpose: the activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined with the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfectional state can automatically be attained by persons with Krishna consciousness, as is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, the Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karav Harer Mandira Marganadishu Rutin Takara Chuta Satkato Taye Kundalinga Laya Darshane Trisau Dat Pritya Gatras Parvate Linga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Saurape Srimat Tulasya Kasanam Tat Arpite Padav Hare Kshetra Padanutarpane Hiro Rishikesa Padapibandane Kamam Cha Dasyena Tukamakam Yaya Yatottama Shoka Janashraya Rati. King Ambarisa first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna. Then one after another he engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing of the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental forms of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his sense of smell in smelling the scents of the lotus flower offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting tulasi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. These transcendental states may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of the engagement of Maharaja Ambarisa. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagement. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement at the center of the mind, as described above, is the perfect process for transcendental achievement. It's called Yukta in the Bhagavad Gita. Do I still go on, or does someone else want to continue?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu, you can read one more.
Yata dipo nivatasto engate sopamastrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmana. Yata as deepa lamp nivatasta in a place without wind. Now does not ingate waver sa upama compared to that grita hiking yogina yogi yata chittasya, his mind is controlled. Just yuk yatta or yung confused. Yung yatta, constantly engaged in yoga, meditation, atmana, and transcendence. Translation: as a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in meditation, the transcendent self. Purpose: a truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipful Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, who wants the next one? It's a really long one.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please help me, Guru Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yatro yatro pramate chitam niruddhama yoga sevaya yatra chaivat manavam pasyan atmani tusyati sukam atyantikam yad tad buddhigrahayam atinandriyam viti yatra na chaivaya sthitah chalati tatvatah yam labdava chaparam labham manyate nadikam tattha yasmin sisto nadukena guru napi vichalate tam yad dukha samyoga viyogam yoga samjinitam yatra in the state of affairs paramate when one feels transcendental happiness chintam mental activities nirudham restrained from matter yoga sevaya performance of yoga yatra in that cha also eva certainly the atmana by the pure mind atmanam self pasyam realizing the position atmani in the self tusyati becomes satisfied sukham happiness atyantikam supreme yet in which that buddhi intelligence grahayam acceptable atinindriyam transcendental viti knows yatra wherein na never cha also eva certainly in these stitha situated chalati moves tatvatah from the truth yam that which labdava by attainment cha also aparam any other labham gain manyate does not mind nor never adhikam more than that tatha from that yasmin in which Sitha, being situated never Dukina by military Gurunapi, even though very difficult, Vichalate becomes shaken. That Vidyat you must know, Dukkha Samyoga is the risk of the material contact Vinyogam, extermination, Yoga Samjinitam, stands in yoga. Purport, translation. Translation. Okay. The stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi when one's mind is completely strained from material mental activities. By practice of yoga, this is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to release and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established those one never departs from the truth, and upon beginning he thinks that there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Stage of realization is called practice of yoga. This is characterized by the one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to release and okay. So this is one is and the happiness. Okay. Purport. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concept. This is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle, and after this one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the supreme soul through transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentary try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the monists think these the monists think sorry monists think this to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of geoparadising the theory of oneself. Oneness. Prabhu, can you explain geoparadising the theory of oneness means?
It means
Okay. The, tell us. Okay, first I can read now. Okay. Then okay. Okay. So, okay. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non-dualist, but in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted, and this is corroborated by the Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of the yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, Purusartha Sunyam Gunanam Partiprasva Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratistha Vachitti Sakriti iti. This Chitti Sakiti or eternal potency if is transcendental. Purusartha means material religiosity in economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam. Okay, by the monist. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an eternal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of these constitutional position. In words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Chetodarpana Marjanam, or clearness of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation or bhava maha Mahadvagni Nirvapanam. The theory of nirvana, also preliminary, corresponds with the East principle in the Bhagavatam. This is called Swarupena Vivastitha. Vivastithya. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms this situation in these words. After nirvana or material cessation, there is the manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service of the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. In the words of the Bhagavatam, Swarupena Vyavastitha. This is the real life of the living entity. Maya or illusion is the condition of the spiritual life contaminated by material infections. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his words Kaivalyam Swarupa Paristhita Va Chitti Sakriti Iti. This Chitti Sakriti or Shakti or transcendental pleasure is real life. And this is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutras as Anandomayo Bhavyasat Vyavasat. And this natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga will be vividly described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called Samprajanta Samadhi and Asamprajanta Samadhi. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical research, it is called Samprajanta Samadhi. In the Asamprajanta Samadhi, there is no longer any connections with mundane pleasure, or for one is them transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. Today's so-called yoga practice, when it involves various sense pleasure, is contradictory. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is a mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections in the process of yoga, are not perfectly situated. If the yogis are attracted by the by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection as is stated in this verse. Persons therefore indulging in the make show tactics of gymnastic fest or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga is in this age is in sorry the best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna consciousness person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy to practicing hatha yoga, hatha yoga, dhyana yoga, and jnana yoga. But there is no such problem in executing karma yoga or bhakti yoga. As long as the material body feels, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure bhakti yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not cross the senses well, meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad brain. While skin and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is curious toward incidental occurrence, occurrence such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative. But he is always altered to duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accident, uh, Accidents never deviate him from his duty, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Ag, ag, agma paino, ag- agama paino, agama paino nityastam sitva bharata. He endures all such uh, incidental occurrences because he knows that there come and go and do not affect his duty. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice.
Haribol, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Guru. Hare Krishna.
तनिश्चयेन योक्तव्यो योगो निर्भिन्नचेतसा संकल्पा प्रभवान् कामांस् त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् शेषतः मनसैवेन्द्रियाग्रामं विनियम्य समन्ततः. Saha, that yoga system, Nishchayena, with firm determination, Yoktavyaha must be practiced, Yogaha in such practice. Ani, 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 Anirbinna, Chetasa, without deviation, Sankalpa, material desires, Prabhavan, born of Kaman, sense gratification, Taktva, giving up Sarvan, all Ashesataha, completely, Manasa, by the mind, Eva, certainly. Indriyagama, Gramam, the full set of senses, Indriyagrama. Viniyamya, regulating, Samantaha, from all sides. By the mind, the full set of senses has to be regulated from all sides. Translation. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of false ego, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Report. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan nishchayat dairya tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prashidyati. The process of Bhakti Yoga can be executed successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees, and by engaging completely in the activities of goodness. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her egg on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal, so the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impassable determination. What a foolish bird. The news of the activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this, and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga and Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's read one more. Who wants to read? One or two more? Maybe two.
I can read one.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Shanai Shanai Upara Med Utya Kritik Taya Atma Samstammana Kutva Nakintit Apichintaye Sanai step by step, Paramed hesitated, Utya by intelligence, Kritik Vitaya carrying the conviction, Atma Samstam placed in transcendence, Mana mind, Kritva doing so, Na nothing, Injit anything else, Api even, Chintayet be thinking of. Translation. Gradually, step by step, with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Purport. By proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. This is called pratyahara. The mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation of the senses, should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of life. In other words, although one is involved in matter as long as the material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. So, does anyone else want to read the next, or do I read it? I can read it also. Yato nischala. Is this the same? Nischalati manaschalam astiram. Okay, I don't know the two. tatastato niyam yaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet yata whatever yata wherever nischalati verily agitated mana the mind chanjalam flickering astiram unsteady tata from there tata and thereafter niyamya regulating etat this atmani in the self eva certainly vasham control nayet must bring in translation from whatever and whenever the mind wanders to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Purport. The nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady, but a self-realized yogi has to control the mind. The mind should not control him. One who controls the mind, and therefore the senses as well, is called Goswami or Swami. One who is controlled by the mind is called Godasa, or the servant of the senses. A Goswami knows the standard of sense happiness. In transcendental sense happiness, senses are engaged in the service of Rishikesa, or the supreme owner of the senses, Krishna. Serving Krishna with purified senses is called Krishna consciousness. That is the way of bringing the senses under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga practice. Highest perfection of yoga practice. Haribol, thank you for this.
Very well. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, now let's go to six Astakam prayers. चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
Namakari
You can
sir. Continue. Continue.
Prabhu, go on. I can read the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Nam Akari
Okay,
Pahudani
continue.
Which Tatrar Pitani Yamita Swaranena Kala Etarchi Tabaki Papagavan Mamapi Durdaivan Itsamya Tanina Nuraka. Alright.
Okay. Piranagapi Finikena Taravapi Sesam Amanena Managena Tetadena Sadavari.
Nadanam najanam na sundalim kavitam va jagadishakamaye mama janmani janmani shvale bhavatad bhaktil haituki tvai.
निबो ऐनन्ततनुजा किङ्करं पतितां मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपा तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
Nayanam galadashludayala vadanam gadgadaludaya gila pulakaya nichitam vapukada tavanam agrahane bhavishyati.
Jaitam Meshena Chukshusha Parivashtitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Grahe Name.
Ashlishyava padalatam pinashtumam haldashanam almahatam kalutuva yata tatava vidata pato matplana natastu saevana palaha.
निबो translation glory to the
Hari.
Sri. Yes, Prabhu, you can read. Haribo.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is a prime benediction for humanity at large. because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all the sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son
Oh,
of
son,
Maharaj,
you can go on, Prabhu.
okay. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Govinda, feeling your separation, some considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna has my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embarrass or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Tribbles,
Vivo, Sri Sixastakam
tribbles,
Jai,
Haribu,
Ananta
Jai,
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 Ki Jai,
Jai,
Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai,
Jai,
Krishna Chaitanya
Jai,
Mahaprabhu Ki Jai,
Jai,
La Prabhu
Jai,
Jai, Nitai
Jai,
Guru Premanande,
Jai,
Ibo.
Hari 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 Bol.
Ali Ali Bo.